Hello and welcome, guys. We are almost done with our cognitive skills training intermediate level. As you remember, in previous videos, I showed you this masterpiece. Here you can see core beliefs marked as a star. Here you can see assumptions and rules, and here you can see behavior that comes from this assumption. So for example, if I have core belief that I am stupid and other people are critical, this can lead me to assumption that I cannot make mistakes when somebody else is watching me, because then they will criticize me. And this leads me to behavior of, for example, avoiding trying anything new when somebody is watching me. Or maybe I have core belief that I am clumsy and ugly, and this leads me to assumption that other people will be critical towards me if I go to the gym, let's say, and this, because of it, I avoid going to the gym and exercising. So here we have this line of core belief, assumption, and behavior. And today we're going to talk about a very interesting connection. I explained it in previous videos that actually it doesn't just go from like this direction, it also goes the opposite direction. The more we do this behavior, the more we reinforce this belief. So for example, if my belief is that I'm clumsy and because of it other people can criticize me, so I avoid going to the gym and exercising, I get even more clumsier and even less fit. So my core belief gets stronger. Same, for example, if my core belief is that I am boring. This way, I might have this assumption that if I try to communicate with someone, they will reject me, and it will be just awful and horrible. Because of it, I avoid communication, so the behavior is avoidance. But because I avoid, I don't have many interesting people in my life, I don't have many interesting events in my life, and because of this, my belief that I am boring gets reinforced. And this happens all the time. And basically what we can do in therapy, we can try to interrupt this cycle over here. Like we might try to use cognitive techniques in order to destroy this connection. Our ABCD technique, Socratic dialogue, like Socratic questioning, and many other techniques are designed exactly for this, like to destroy this connection. We can also destroy that connection. We can change the behavior, and by changing the behavior, we actually change our core belief. So this is what we're going to talk about, using behavior experiments in order to change our core belief. So, for example, let's say your core belief is that other people are critical and you are clumsy and not a sport person. So, if instead of avoiding exercising and avoiding going to some physical activities or sports or gym or dances or whatnot, if instead of avoiding you actually go there, you might get different experience. Like you might notice that others are actually friendly and not critical. You might notice that actually you're not as clumsy as you thought, and that the problem was not clumsiness. The problem was that you were never exercising, so of course you didn't have the balance and the strength and so on. So if you exercise, you actually become not clumsy. You might also notice that actually, even if you go there and even if others are critical and even if you are clumsy, you might notice that it doesn't upset you so much, that it's not a big deal that you're clumsy. So you see, by changing the behavior, we interrupt this kind of circle and get some new fresh air, some new fresh experience inside this circle. And this is very, very useful. So our task today will be deciding which behavior experiments you're going to use depending on your core beliefs. So, for example, if your core belief is that you're not a sport person, you can do behavior experiment like go into the gym for a month and kind of making it a challenge and seeing how your body reacts and how it feels and so on. If your core belief is that you are, I don't know, boring, you can make it a challenge to go and talk to different people and see how they actually react to you. If your core belief is that you are, I know, that you have less talent than other people, you can go to some creative workshop and try creating something fun and see how other people create it. And this way to see that actually there are people who are not better than you in that direction. So our goal is taking our behavior and replacing it with the opposite. If normally you avoid talking to people, you kind of push yourself a bit to actually talk with them. If normally you are scared to start a new conversation with somebody, you force yourself a bit to do it. If normally you avoid wearing something different or wearing something colorful, let's say, you try and wear something colorful. If normally you avoid hard work and you just kind of give up, this time you're going to try this hard work. If normally you have this assumption that I need to feel like it to do something, try doing it without motivation. Like if you feel lazy, try overcoming this laziness and actually doing it. So our goal is taking our habitual reactions, habitual behaviors, habitual coping strategies and reversing them. If normally you are silent, try being talkative. If normally you are only talking about yourself, try asking questions. If normally you are criticizing yourself, try hyping yourself up. If normally you are too shy to give other people compliments, try giving them compliments. So what we do, we kind of throw a challenge for our core belief, and we are doing behaviors as if we had opposite belief. Like if you have core belief that you are stupid, imagine that you have core belief that you are smart. What would be different? What would you do differently? And change that behavior. But here are several traps on this way. First of all, our core beliefs really don't like changing. And I explained to you in previous videos that they are kind of distorting our perception of reality. So if you believe that you are ugly, you are going to see things that correspond to this belief and completely not notice things that do not correspond to this belief. This is why it's very important when you're doing this behavioral experiment, pay attention to all the positive results, to every tiny positive result that you can find. Don't let your distorted perception fool you. Find those things that are positive, even if at first you feel like, oh no, it was all horrible, it was all intolerable. Even if turns out that you go to the gym and you are clumsy there the first day, find positives here. Like for example, positive is that yes, I was clumsy, but it's not a big deal. It didn't feel as awkward as I expected. Or something else, or that you can argue that okay, I went to the gym only one time, of course I'm still ugly, not still ugly, still clumsy, so I can exercise more and see where it leads me. So trap number one, don't let distortions fool you, because beliefs don't want us to change them. So they might fool us. They are kind of like getting us in some hypnosis state and fooling us to see what they want us to see. So instead of it, pay attention to all the positive proof. And mistake number two, trap number two, is trying only once. You know, any scientist who performs any kind of experiment to prove a certain theory needs many experiments, because if you just do it once, it's not proof enough. So same here, if we want to try out new behavior and see where it leads us, We cannot just try it once and say like, okay, I tried it once, it's horrible. No, we need to try it many, many, many times, and only then we can say what the result is. So trap number 2 is not trying enough times, and trap number 3 is kind of pushing yourself too hard. Behavioral experiments should be tolerable. They should be uncomfortable, but not too scary for you. So if you find your potential behavioral experiments too scary, please check out my video about exposition and about technique towards discomfort. I encourage you first doing the exposition in your imagination, and only then, when you feel ready, starting doing it in your real life. But behavioral experiment and changing your behavior is critical, essential for change of your core beliefs. So you don't change your core beliefs just by changing your thinking. You should work on several different layers, and one of those layers is behavioral change. So when you change your behavior, your beliefs change. What also can be included in behavioral change is learning new skills of emotional regulation, communication skills, and so on. This is also very important because it actually also changes our beliefs. Because, for example, if you think that your core belief is that I am shy, I don't know how to communicate with people, when you actually developed communication skill, you find out that actually you're not shy, you just did not have that skill. So skill development can be part of behavioral experiments. Yes, and what is also important to pay attention, part of your behavioral experiments can be working with your body. So, for example, many people who have anxiety, they have this kind of tensed body, very rapid movements, something like this, like, anxious and kind of like trying to protect themselves. So your behavioral change can be just relaxing your shoulders when you feel stressed. This is already like small thing. Or for example, me, when I was practicing kind of self-confidence and not people pleasing, I had this habit that when I was feeling stressed out, I would smile a lot, like kind of like showing this way that I'm not threatening, I agree, something like that. So my behavioral experiment was to just not smile when I don't find something funny. And this was kind of scary for such a small thing, but actually it helped me. So your behavioral experiments don't have to be huge. They can be small, like lowering your shoulders and relaxing them, like stopping smiling when you don't feel like smiling, like trying one tiny new communication skill, and so on. But they are essential. You can never change your core beliefs without changing your behavior, and those are so connected with each other. Those are just, they form this vicious circle, and we need to break it on several layers. Like, we need to work with cognition, we also need to work with emotions, and we need to work with behaviors. If you work only with one of those, it won't be as effective, and most likely won't lead to any quality change in your life. So your home task for today is finding which behaviors you do for your core beliefs and for your coming from your assumptions and core beliefs, and deciding what opposite behaviors you're going to practice. If you are used to people pleasing and smiling, make a challenge. Don't smile when you don't find something funny. Or if you are used to being silent all the time, make a challenge and start asking questions and talking with others, and so on. But remember, it should be bearable and should be repetitive. So you cannot just do one experiment and give it up, because this is not how scientists work. Imagine yourself being a scientist of your own life. Imagine yourself carrying out an actual experiment and not just everyday life things. And I also suggest you have a diary or a journal where you note what you noticed in this experiment. Like maybe you tried it out and your worst expectations became real, like you went to the gym and somebody laughed at you. But notice still even tiniest positives in that. Like for example, somebody laughed at you, but you still felt fine, you still didn't fall apart, you still felt okay. Or maybe somebody laughed at you, but somebody else was friendly towards you, and so on. So pay attention to note all the positive changes in your journal so that you can have reliable information, and try to write them down immediately, because our brain uh, and our core beliefs are so good at twisting our perception of reality. It's just amazing, always amazes me. And also you can ask for advice from your good friend, from your therapist, if you go to therapy, from you can even write down in your own comments, because oftentimes we ourselves find it difficult to notice when our core beliefs distort our reality. We are fooled by this focus, by this trick. So you need to ask somebody else to look from the outside. Even psychologists, like even talking like from myself, from my own experience, it's very difficult to be your own psychologist, because you don't see many things that somebody can see from the outside, because you become kind of blind to your own distortions. So it's really nice to have second opinion. So don't be scared of that, and share this video with your friends so they can join you on your journey towards change. Yes, the best way you can thank me is sharing my channel in your social network, social media, and oh, sorry. And I will see you soon. This was your home task for next week. Bye bye.